Man, being a gun owner is really fun, but guns are kinda expensive, so I've compiled a list of 5 of the best rifles under $400. Number 5. Remington 783. This thing ain't winning any beauty contests. The synthetic stock feels like it was made from the same plastic as a gas station soda bottle. But before you throw it in the bin, remember this is a budget rifle. That synthetic build makes it lightweight, weather-resistant, and tough enough to take a beating in the field without you crying over scratches. Now let's talk about that bolt. It's oversized, which is great for gloved hands, but it's a bit stiff out of the box. Nothing a few rounds won't smooth out. Plus, you get a threaded 16.5-inch carbon steel barrel, meaning you could slap on a suppressor or muzzle brake for better recoil control. That's a feature you usually don't see on rifles in this price range. For a rifle that costs about as much as a weekend road trip, the accuracy is surprisingly solid. The 1-to-10 twist rate on the barrel stabilizes rounds well, and we were pulling off 1.2-inch groupings at 100 yards. Not sniper grade, but for hunting, plinking, or just getting some range time in, that's more than enough to do the job. The trigger is adjustable, which is a huge plus. Out of the box, it's set at around 4 pounds. Not bad, but you can tweak it for a lighter pull if you want a smoother shot. Now let's get real. The Remington 783 is picky. We had 0 issues with most loads, but when we tried feeding it Winchester rounds, that bolt locked up like it was guarding Fort Knox. The fix? Just use better quality ammo. Stick to what it likes, and you'll avoid any unwanted surprises at the range. If you buy the version that comes with a scope, do yourself a favor. Remove it immediately and replace it with literally anything else. The eye relief is laughably bad, to the point where you're risking a nice little forehead tattoo if you're not careful. If you're serious about making the most of this rifle, invest in a decent optic and thank me later. Now, let's talk numbers. Base models go for around $270 to $350, and even with some upgrades, you're still coming in well under the $400 mark. That's impressive when you consider you're getting a bolt-action rifle with a threaded barrel, an adjustable trigger, and a solid accuracy profile. Yet the stock feels cheap, and yeah, the scope is junk, but for the price, you're getting way more than you paid for. Number 4. Savage 93R17 GV and 17 HMR. So right out of the box, this thing looks classy. It's got a traditional wood stock that makes you feel like you're about to go bag some small game or maybe reenact a Civil War documentary. The blued matte finish looks great. But if you live anywhere with humidity higher than a desert, you better baby this thing, because that finish rusts faster than an old Ford left out in the rain. And hey, if you like optics, great news. It comes with a 2-piece Weaver scope mount pre-installed. But if you're the kind of guy who wants iron sights, well, tough luck. You're not getting them. This rifle practically demands a scope. So if you're not ready to drop some extra cash on glass, you're going to be aiming down an imaginary barrel like it's a musket. Now, the Savage 93R17 GV is chambered in 17 HMR, which is a zippy little round known for its accuracy. And I gotta give credit where it's due. This thing is a laser beam. The 21-inch heavy barrel gives it great stability, keeping recoil so low it feels like a polite tap on the shoulder. You're getting tight groupings at 100 yards, and if you do your part, it'll stretch out to 200 without too much fuss. The Accu trigger? That's a high point. It's adjustable and crisp, meaning you can dial it in just the way you like it. I always say a bad trigger can ruin a good gun, but this one's smoother than my ex-wife's excuses. First off, that plastic buttstock. It's slicker than a politician during election season. If your shoulder isn't locked in, this thing will slide around like it's got a mind of its own. Might as well duct tape a yoga mat to the back if you want some grip. Then there's the magazine. 5 rounds in a detachable box mag? That's fine, but the fit? Let's just say I've seen looser tolerances in a bag of off-brand Legos. You'll be fumbling with it, especially when reloading under pressure. You ever try stuffing a cat into a bathtub? Yeah, it's kinda like that. And let's not forget the wind factor. 17 HMR rounds are great for precision, but they're also as lightweight as my cousin's excuses for not paying me back. If the wind so much as sneezes, your shot's going on a field trip. So is it a bad rifle? Not necessarily. If you're looking for an affordable, accurate rimfire with a solid trigger and you don't mind babying it like a newborn, then sure, it's a great buy. But if you live somewhere humid, don't like fiddling with magazines, or just prefer a rifle that doesn't feel like it has a list of demands before it works properly, well, you might want to keep shopping. Number 3. Marlin Model 60. It's light, just 5.8 pounds, so if you're out plinking or small game hunting all day, your arms aren't going to feel like you just finished a CrossFit session. And let's talk about accuracy. Marlin's patented micro-groove rifling in the 22-inch barrel makes sure your shots actually hit where you're aiming. That's a big deal, especially for a rifle that won't break the bank. Then there's the magazine. Unlike your standard 10-round mag that forces you to reload every few shots, this bad boy holds 18 rounds in a tubular magazine. That means more shooting, less fumbling with ammo, and all-around smoother experience. It's the rifle version of an all-you-can-eat buffet. Just keep going until you're full. If you're a fan of iron sights, you're in luck. It comes with a fully adjustable rear sight and a ramp front sight for quick target acquisition. But if you want to throw a scope on it, the receiver is already grooved for easy mounting, no extra hassle. Now, for all the good stuff, there are a few quirks. First, it's not in production anymore, which means finding a new one is like hunting for a PS5 at launch. You might get lucky, but expect a bit of a chase. Price-wise though, you're still looking at $310 to $360, so it's definitely within budget territory. Then there's the trigger. It's got a 5 to 7 pound pull with a bit of gritty feel, kind of like trying to pull the tab on a stubborn soda can. It works, but it takes some getting used to. If you're looking for a hair trigger, this ain't it. And let's not forget about the bolt catch situation. For some reason, Marlin thought, why have one way to lock the bolt back when you can have two? It's confused more people than it should, leading to unnecessary trips to the gunsmith. If you don't know what you're doing, you might think it's broken when it's just doing its overly complicated thing. Number 2. Hi-Point 995 TS Carbine. Hi-Point 995 TS is built like a tank, an awkward, slightly wonky tank, but a tank nonetheless. Weighing in at 6.25 pounds, it's solid without feeling like you're lugging a cinder block. The 16.5-inch barrel and overall length of 31 inches make it compact enough for home defense while still giving you solid accuracy at the range. It's chambered at 9mm, which means cheap ammo and low recoil, perfect for beginners, casual shooters, or anyone who doesn't want to blow their entire paycheck on a day at the range. The polymer skeletonized stock is tougher than it looks, and the internal recoil buffer actually does a decent job of softening each shot. Plus, you get a fully adjustable ghost ring sight that keeps you on target without fancy optics. And if you want to get tactical with it, multiple Picatinny rails let you mount whatever doodads and gizmos your heart desires. Red dots, flashlights, foregrips, maybe even a cup holder if you're feeling creative. Now let's talk about what really matters. Does this thing actually work? And the answer is yes, mostly. The 995 TS might not be the smoothest shooter out there, but it cycles well and eats up most types of 9mm ammo without throwing a fit. The 10-round magazine is basic but functional, and while extended mags exist, let's just say they're about as reliable as my ex's promises. Stick with the factory mags, and you'll have a much better time. Trigger-wise, it's not winning any beauty contests, but it gets the job done. The pull is a bit heavy, and there's a weird little nub at the bottom that might annoy some shooters, but once you get used to it, it's workable. Fit and finish? Let's be real. This ain't a luxury rifle. Some screws and edges don't always line up perfectly, but at this price point, you're not buying it for looks. You're buying it to put rounds downrange affordably. For $300 to $350, you get a functional, reliable firearm with a lifetime warranty. Yeah, you read that right. Lifetime, regardless of ownership. It's one of the few guns at this price that actually holds up after thousands of rounds. Despite all the jokes, people who own them tend to love them. It's great for home defense, range plinking, and even some light hunting. Number 1. The Ruger 1022 series is legendary. It's like the Ford F-150 of rimfire rifles. Been around forever, does its job, and has more aftermarket parts than I have dad jokes. And the compact version, it keeps everything people love about the original, trims down the size, and makes it one of the best budget-friendly rifles you can get. It's a 22LR semi-auto, weighs just 4.4 pounds, and has a 16.12-inch barrel. That means it's light, maneuverable, and perfect for plinking, small game hunting, or teaching a new shooter the ropes. The 10-round rotary magazine feeds smoothly. No need to worry about reliability issues here. One of its best features, the modular stock system. If you got smaller hands or you're training up the next generation of sharpshooters, you can adjust the length of pull and cheek riser to get the perfect fit. And if you've got longer arms, no worries. You can swap out parts for a more comfortable experience. Straight up, it's not match grade, but it's more than serviceable for the price. Could it be lighter? Sure, but it's predictable, and with some breaking in, it smooths out nicely. Plus, there's always the option to upgrade down the road. Now, one thing I wish it had? A threaded barrel, because in 2025, suppressors are basically a must-have, but even without it, this thing shoots like a dream. The sights are another strong point. Fiber optic rear and a fixed front ramp make target acquisition easy in different lighting conditions. And if iron sights aren't your thing, the receiver is drilled and tapped for scope mounting, and it even comes with a Weaver tip-off plate so you can slap on optic without extra hassle. If you're looking for a lightweight, reliable, and highly customizable rifle under $400, the Ruger 1022 Compact is a top-tier option. It's perfect for beginners, great for experienced shooters who want a fun plinker, and durable enough to last for years. The best part? It runs like a Ruger. Flawless cycling with quality ammo, minimal maintenance, and an endless supply of aftermarket parts if you ever want to tweak it. For the price, this rifle punches way above its weight class, but for under $400, it's easily one of the best budget-friendly rifles you can buy.